In the center of the galaxy, there was a place called the Zenthri Cluster. It was peaceful. Dozens of alien races lived there, trade routes were busy, and planets were full of life. There were tall cities, flying vehicles, and massive spaceports. Everything was calm, but that peace did not last. One day, strange signals came from the edge of the cluster. Ships disappeared. Planets went silent. Then came the screams broadcasted from space stations before all signals were cut. The cause was a terrifying force known only from old legends, the Dread Swarm. No one believed those stories anymore. They thought the swarm was just an old myth, but now that myth had become real. The swarm was made of giant biomechanical creatures. They flew through space like insects, with metal wings and glowing red eyes. They ate planets, they spread fear, and they did more than destroy. They had a strange weapon, a fear field. It wasn't a bomb or laser. It was psychic, invisible, and it made almost every living creature freeze in terror. Ships stopped moving. Soldiers couldn't breathe. Some even fainted. The Galactic Alliance quickly called for a meeting. This was the biggest threat the galaxy had ever seen. Leaders from hundreds of alien worlds joined through holograms. Each looked more worried than the last. The Council of 12, the main rulers of the Alliance, sat around a long, circular table. Each one represented a major race. They were strong and wise, but now they looked shaken. A tall insect-like being named Chairman Vulek spoke first. The swarm has taken for systems in 3 days. Our fleets retreat the moment they arrive. We cannot stop them. Their fear field affects everyone. Another council member, Lady Scree of the Alari, whispered, "This is not war. This is a nightmare." Then a quiet voice spoke. "We are not affected." Everyone turned. Sitting calmly in the back was Commander Eleanor Rourke, a human. She wore a plain gray uniform, and her face showed no fear. Chairman Vulek looked confused. "Not affected," Eleanor nodded. "The fear field has no effect on humans. We've tested it. Our minds resist it." Lady Scree leaned forward. "Impossible. Even our strongest warriors collapse in seconds." "Humans are different," Eleanor said. "We've faced fear all through our history, wars, disasters, danger. Fear is part of our nature. But we don't run from it. We stand and fight." The room was silent. Chairman Vulek asked slowly, then, "What are you saying, Commander?" Eleanor stood up. "Give us control of the defense. Let humans lead the counterattack. We will stop the swarm." There was murmuring across the council. Some shouted reckless, others whispered desperate. But maybe, after a long pause, Vulek finally said, "Very well. The humans will lead. May the stars protect us." 1 day later, in orbit above the planet Kelvora Prime, a single ship arrived. It was huge, over 2 kilometers long. Black armor, heavy cannons, a bright blue engine glow. Its name was printed boldly on the side, UNSC Valiant. The planet below was in chaos. The swarm had arrived. Their giant creatures moved across the sky, spreading terror. Civilians screamed, alien soldiers froze. Buildings burned, but the Valiant did not run. Inside the ship, Commander Eleanor stood on the bridge. Around her, humans worked calmly. Screens showed the surface. The fear field was strong, but none of the humans were afraid. "Drop pods ready?" she asked. Double quotes, "Yes." "Commander," said the officer, "Marines are locked in. Send them." Eleanor ordered. Far below, large steel pods fell through the clouds. They crashed into the surface like meteors. The doors blew open and human Marines charged out, guns ready. They were not frightened. They didn't stop. These soldiers had trained for this. Their helmets blocked the noise. Their armor was strong. They worked as one. At the front was Sergeant Briggs, a tall, serious man with scars on his face. "Let's move," he shouted. "Rescue the civilians. Clear a landing zone." His squad followed without question. They moved through the streets, firing at the swarm creatures. Alien civilians looked at them with wide eyes. They had never seen anyone stand against the swarm before. One old alien, shaking in fear, said, How are you not afraid?" Briggs smiled under his helmet. "We are. We just don't let it stop us." He lifted the alien to his feet and guided him to safety. Back in orbit, the Valiant powered up a strange weapon. It was human-made and experimental M-gravitic cannon. No one had tested it before. Target the Swarm Queen, Elena said. The main screen locked onto the largest enemy 3 times the size of a warship. It had metal wings and hundreds of legs. It floated in space, controlling the swarm. Fire. A bright beam shot from the Valiant. It hit the Queen dead center. For the first time, the creature screamed. It twitched. It stopped moving. Its fear field flickered. The aliens watching from faraway stations saw this. The news spread fast. Someone had hit the swarm. Someone had stood their ground. And they were human. At the end of the day, Kelvor Prime was not lost. The Marines rescued thousands. The swarm was pushed back for now. In the council chamber, Chairman Vulik looked at the report. I cannot believe it, he said. The humans held the line. Lady Scree nodded. Perhaps they are more than we thought. Back on the Valiant, Elena stood on the bridge, watching the stars. We're just getting started, she whispered. And somewhere in the darkness, the swarm felt something strange, something they had never felt before. Resistance. The news spread fast across the galaxy. The humans had faced the dread swarm on Kelvor Prime, and they did not run. For the first time, a Swarm Queen had been damaged. For the first time, the galaxy saw that the monsters could bleed. Many alien worlds sent messages of hope. Some planets that were already planning to evacuate stopped their plans. They watched the human ship, the UNSC Valiant, in amazement. But the war was not over. The swarm was angry. 3 days after the battle, a new attack began. The next target was Yaren V, a coal mining planet rich in energy crystals. It had no defenses. Only a few thousand workers lived there, mostly small species like the fragile Zinni and the shy Mikari. The fear field hit the planet like a wave. Even the animals froze in terror. The dread swarm came fast. Dozens of metal creatures flew down from the sky. They looked like giant insects with long legs, sharp claws, and red lights glowing from inside their bodies. But this time, the humans were ready. Sergeant Briggs stood inside a drop pod, holding his rifle tightly. Around him were 10 other Marines. They didn't speak much. Their armor was black with a red stripe, showing they were part of Earth's Special Forces Void Response Unit. 30 seconds to surface, the pilot said over the radio. Briggs checked the map on his visor. The mining base is under attack. Our mission is to clear the area and rescue the civilians. No retreat, no surrender. Copy that. The Marines replied in unison. The pod shook as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Fire licked across the windows. Then it slammed into the snowy ground. The doors blew open. Cold wind rushed in, and the sky above was full of swarm flyers. Briggs stepped out first. His boots crunched into the snow. Go, go, go. The squad moved fast, firing at the closest swarm creatures. Their bullets were armor-piercing, specially designed to break through the swarm's shell. One of the creatures turned and rushed them. Briggs raised his gun and fired 3 quick shots. Boom. The creature fell. Inside the mining base, the alien workers huddled in fear. The fear field was too strong. Some were shaking. Others were crying. Then they heard something strange. Not the sound of the swarm. It was a voice, calm, steady, full of confidence. Don't be afraid. We're here to help. A tall figure entered the room. Private Ramirez, a young human Marine. Behind him were 2 more soldiers. The aliens looked up in disbelief. You're not afraid? One of them whispered. Ramirez gave a small smile. Of course we are. But we're trained to move through it. He helped one alien to their feet. Can you walk? I think so. Good. We're getting everyone out. Up in orbit, Commander Eleanor Rourke stood on the bridge of the Valiant. Her eyes were focused on the battle map. She pointed at a group of swarm ships circling the planet. Target Group B7. Fire the coil cannons. The weapons officer nodded. Yes, ma'am. The Valiant's front section opened, and large glowing cannons came out. They fired long blue beams that hit the enemy ships with perfect aim. One exploded in a flash. The others scattered. Direct hit, the officer said. Elena stayed calm. Prepare the EMP launcher next. We're going to stun the larger ones. Down on the surface, Sergeant Briggs and his team reached the last group of civilians. The mining tunnels were collapsing. A swarm beast blocked their path. Grenade! Briggs shouted. Private Lynn threw a special grenade. It exploded with a flash of electricity, stunning the creature. Briggs charged forward and pushed the aliens through a side door. Move, we've got your backs. One of the Zinni workers turned and said, Why do you do this? You don't even know us, Briggs. Paused for a second, then said, Because that's what humans do. We fight for those who can't at the same time. The Valiant launched drones that dropped signal beacons across the battlefield. These beacons created a small bubble where the fear field was blocked. Aliens hiding in caves saw the sky clear. They stepped outside and saw humans fighting the swarm with fire and steel. Some aliens began to help. Not all could fight, but they gave maps, supplies, and even carried the wounded. This was the first time in the war that humans and aliens worked side by side in battle. By the end of the day, the swarm began to retreat from Yernvi. Their queen ship circled once, then vanished into deep space. The planet was saved. Over 4,000 civilians were rescued. The humans lost 7 Marines. Their names were written in honor on the Valiant's memory wall. Commander Elena looked at the galaxy map. The planet saved, but there were more to come. She called for a meeting with the Galactic Science Union. On Zareth Station, the galaxy's top scientists had gathered. Elena stood before them. We need to understand why humans are immune to the fear field, she said. An old alien professor named Dr. Kinov rubbed his tentacled chin. Your species has an odd history, wars, disasters, even self-made horror. Perhaps this built resistance. Yes, Elena agreed. We learned to face fear, not avoid it. Even our children read scary stories. It's part of us. Double quotes. Dr. Kinov nodded. Then maybe we can copy it. They began working on a device, a neural echo scanner. It could study human brain waves during fear. Then, it might be able to share that signal with aliens, giving them some courage too. The project would take time, but it could change everything. Back on Earth, millions watched the news. Families cried as they saw their sons and daughters in battle, but they also felt pride. For the first time, the universe was seeing what humanity really was. Not conquerors, not saviors. Just people who refused to run. And far away, in a dark corner of the galaxy, the Swarm Queen shrieked in pain. She had never met resistance like this. She looked through her hive mind and found one word that now echoed across enemy ships: humans. The galaxy was changing. Before, the name Dread Swarm brought silence to every meeting room. Every alien fleet feared them. Every leader spoke in whispers. But now, something had shifted. Humans had fought the swarm and won. Not once, but twice. On Kelvor Prime, they held the line. On Yernvi, they saved thousands. The galaxy had seen their bravery. The recordings of the battles spread like fire. On alien news stations, one word was repeated again and again: humans. But the war was far from over. Back on the human ship UNSC Valiant, Commander Eleanor Rourke stood in the ship's command room. Round her, maps floated in the air, showing enemy movements. The swarm was not slowing down. In fact, they were getting smarter. "We've received reports," said Lieutenant Darnell, a young officer beside her. "Swarm ships are adapting. Their fear field is stronger. It's spreading faster." Eleanor crossed her arms. "They're learning, and so must we." She turned to the science station. "Update from Zareth Station." "Yes, Commander," said Dr. Toma, the ship's lead scientist. "The Galactic Science Union has started testing the neural echo device. They need more human brain data. Then they'll get it," Eleanor replied. "Send me down. I'll be the next subject." On Zareth Station, dozens of alien scientists worked with human researchers. Large labs buzzed with sound. Strange machines hummed with light. They were all trying to do one thing: understand how the human mind resisted fear. Dr. Kinov, the old alien scientist, welcomed Elena when she arrived. "Commander Rourke, it is an honor. Your actions have given hope to many." "I'm just doing my job," she said, walking into the lab. They sat her in a chair and placed a special helmet over her head. Inside it were thousands of tiny sensors. It would record how her brain responded to images, sounds, and feelings of fear. Ready? Dr. Keenov asked. Do it. She nodded. They began playing recordings, images of destruction. Screams from the swarm, dark tunnels, and shadows moving in the mist. Her heart rate rose. But she stayed calm. Her brain waves remained strong. Dr. Keenov whispered to his team. Amazing. Her fear centers activate, but her mind pushes back. Like a shield. They ran tests for hours. When it ended, Elena stood up and asked, Did you find what you needed? Dr. Keenov smiled with all 6 of his eyes. Yes. We now understand a little more about human courage. Meanwhile, on the edge of the Cernix belt, the swarm attacked again. This time, it wasn't just raw destruction. They dropped strange pods on the surface of the moon Druvanex. These pods didn't just release fear, they created hallucinations. Alien troops saw monsters that weren't real. Some even turned on each other, confused and panicked. It was worse than before. But once again, a human team landed. Sergeant Briggs led the mission. His boots hit the moon's rocky surface as his squad fanned out behind him. He could hear the panic on alien radios. Soldiers were begging for help. Some were crying. Keep comms clear, Briggs ordered. Stick to the mission. They moved forward carefully, spotting one of the fear pods. It glowed green and gave off a low hum. Private Lynn approached it with a scanner. It's affecting their minds, sending fake images right into their brains. Can we shut it down? Yes, but I need time. You've got 30 seconds, Briggs said. Suddenly, a group of alien soldiers rushed out, screaming in terror. One of them pointed a weapon at Briggs. Stay back. You're not real. You're one of them. Briggs raised his hands. I'm human. I'm here to help. You're seeing lies. That's the pod tricking you. The alien trembled. Confused. Then Lynn shouted. Got it? The pod made a sharp noise and shut down instantly. The illusions vanished. The aliens looked around, blinking. It's real, one whispered. He was telling the truth. Briggs walked forward and offered his hand. Let's finish this together. Back on Zareth Station, Dr. Keenov showed Elena and the council a working prototype of the neural echo device. This device uses human brain signals and sends them to others. Not full thoughts, just the feeling, the emotion. A wave of courage, Elena asked. Have you tested it? We have, Dr. Keenov said, on a young alien volunteer. She held steady for 10 full seconds inside a fear field. That has never happened before. The Council of 12, watching through holograms, looked impressed. Lady Screech spoke. Then give us more. Train our soldiers with this. Let them stand like the humans. Elena nodded. We'll help every way we can. Weeks passed. More planets were attacked, but now, aliens were not always running. Some had received training from human marines. Some carried the neural echo device. And in many places, they stood and fought. One day, a message came to the valiant swarm. Approaching the planet Rela 9, the officer reported. Heavy forces. Psychic wave already spreading. Elena tapped the screen. Any troops on the ground, mixed unit. Humans and Ilari. All new recruits. Elena's eyes narrowed. They'll need help. As the Valiant raced toward Rela 9, the mixed team below was already in combat. One young Ilari soldier, Tyvan, shook as he fired his blaster. The sky above was black with swarm wings. His legs wanted to run. His eyes filled with fear. But beside him was a human soldier, Corporal Reyes. Breathe, Tyvan. You've trained for this. I can't. They're everywhere. Reyes touched the small neural echo device on his belt. Use the signal. Let my courage guide you. Tyvan pressed the button. A wave of warmth filled his chest. The fear faded, just a little. He stood tall and fired again. By the time the Valiant arrived, the ground troops had already held their ground for 30 minutes. The humans cheered as the swarm began to pull back. For the first time in history, a group of aliens had resisted the fear field on their own with human help. Commander Elena looked out at the scene from her ship. We're not just fighting the swarm anymore, she said quietly. We're teaching others how to fight. But deep in the dark void of space, something stirred. Far beyond known star systems, at the heart of the swarm's empire, a massive creature opened its eyes. The swarm queen sent a signal to it. The humans were dangerous. The galaxy was resisting. This creature was older, smarter, and it whispered in the minds of its children. The stars were no longer silent. Across the galaxy, the sound of war echoed everywhere: plasma cannons, distress signals, battle cries. But there was something new in the air too: hope. The humans had changed everything. Before, the galaxy feared the dread swarm. Now, they had begun to fight back. The neural echo device helped alien soldiers stand strong. Human marines trained other species to fight the fear. Victories were small, but they were growing, and the swarm noticed, deep in the far reaches of space. Inside a dark and dying star system, the swarm mind awoke. It was older than the swarm queens. It had no body, only thought. It slept for ages, waiting for the galaxy to submit. Now it was angry. A new enemy had appeared: humans. Back on the UNSC Valiant, Commander Eleanor Rourke stood at the front of the bridge. Maps floated in the air. Red dots showed swarm activity. Blue dots showed allied planets. There was one system blinking in yellow. Veltrax's system, Eleanor pointed. That's where they're massing next. They want to scare us again. Lieutenant Darnell nodded. But the planets there are better prepared. We've trained them. They have neural echo devices. They fought beside us, Eleanor said. Good. Now let's show the swarm we don't just survive. We strike back. The Viltrax battle plan was simple. A multi-species fleet, led by the Valiant, would engage swarm ships in space. A ground team, led by Sergeant Briggs, would land on Viltrax, primed to protect its cities. Human and alien engineers would place special signal towers across the planet to block the fear field entirely. For the first time, the galaxy was going on the offensive. The battle began as the swarm arrived. They came in hundreds, giant insect-like. Ships glowing red. Their wings made strange sounds as they flew. Their fear field stretched far, trying to stop ships from moving. But this time, the Allied fleet was ready. Human ships moved in front. Their shields were strong. They did not slow down. Behind them, Alari and Mechari ships followed, nervous, but determined. Elena stood on the bridge. Target their front line, use the EMP cannons, firing, shouted the weapons officer. A burst of blue light hit the first row of swarm ships. Two exploded. One spun out of control. Alien commanders watching from their ships stared in disbelief. They can be hurt, said one. Don't stop, came the reply. Follow the humans. On the surface of Veltrax Prime, Sergeant Briggs led a mixed unit: humans, Zarthan, and Alari. They moved fast through the city streets, placing signal towers at key points. The towers glowed bright blue and made a soft hum. Wherever they stood, the fear field weakened. Civilians came out of their homes. Some cried when they saw humans leading the defense. You came back, said an old Zarthan woman. Briggs smiled. We never left. Far above, one of the Swarm Queen ships circled the battlefield. It had stronger armor, longer wings, and a new kind of pulse, one that bent reality around it. Elena noticed it on the radar. That one's different. Dr. Thomas studied it from the science station. It's using advanced psychic waves. Could be from a higher command, maybe the source of the swarm mind itself. Then we can't let it escape, Elena said. All power to the forward cannons. The Valiant moved closer. The Queen ship began firing red plasma bolts. Shields shook. Sparks flew. The ship rocked. Shields at 64%, reported an officer. Keep going, Elena ordered. We finished this here. The Valiant fired its main cannon, one massive shot that lit up the sky. The blast hit the Queen's center. The ship cracked open like a shell. A loud scream echoed in every comm channel, like a psychic cry. The Queen fell from orbit, burning through the clouds. On the ground, everyone saw it. Cheers rose. The swarm began to retreat. But it wasn't over. From deep space, a message was sent. From the dying Queen to the swarm mind. The humans are dangerous. They must be destroyed. And the swarm mind answered. Back on Zareth Station, the Galactic Science Union picked up strange readings. Commander Rourke, said Dr. Keenov through the comms. Something is happening. A new signal has been detected, much stronger than the fear field. From where? Elena asked. From a dark region near the center of the galaxy. The source is huge. Dr. Toma joined the analysis. We think we've been fighting just the children of the swarm. Their true master is waking up. Everyone went quiet. Then we'll have to face it, Elena said. Because if we don't, no one else can. In the following days, the Viltrax system was fully secured. The galaxy celebrated. News programs across alien worlds showed humans standing tall, helping others, leading fleets. Statues were raised in human cities on alien planets, some named streets after fallen Marines. Others adopted Earth-style training programs. The Council of 12 gathered for a special meeting. Chairman Vulek stood up. Before the humans arrived, we were divided, scattered, afraid. Now, we stand together. The swarm is not gone, but they are no longer unstoppable. Lady Scree added, it is time we recognize humanity's role. By vote, the Council awarded Earth the official title, Guardians of the Void. It meant they were the galaxy's first defenders, trusted, respected. Back on the Valiant, Elena stood at the observation deck. Stars filled the black sky. Planets spun slowly in the distance. Lieutenant Darnell came beside her. Do you think we can win? He asked. We already are, she said. Every battle we fight, more worlds stand with us. The swarm isn't just facing us anymore. They're facing a united galaxy. He nodded. And if that ancient swarm mind comes, Elena's eyes narrowed. Then we'll face it too. Far away, in the cold, silent space beyond the charts. The swarm mind watched. Its huge form pulsed with energy. It had waited millions of years. But now it had seen something it did not expect. Human courage. Human resistance. And worst of all, human unity. It began to move. Not slowly, not secretly, but openly. It sent a message across the stars, not in words, but in thoughts dark and heavy. A deep silence filled space near the galactic core. The stars were few here, and light did not shine bright. Dark energy flowed like invisible rivers. It was a dead zone, no planets, no trade routes, no life. But something had woken up in that darkness. The swarm mind. It was not like the swarm queens. It was older, deeper, and more powerful. It had no body. It was a force made of thoughts, fear, and will. It sent out a wave stronger than anything the galaxy had ever felt. Across hundreds of worlds, aliens dropped to their knees in terror. Ships lost control. Leaders fainted in their seats. Even the neural echo devices began to crack. But on board the UNSC Valiant, Commander Eleanor Rourke stood tall. She felt the pressure. She felt the weight in her chest. But she did not fall. She looked around the bridge. Her crew was still standing. The humans had faced fear again, and they were still holding the line. Send the message to the Council, she said. We're going after it. We're not waiting for it to come. The Council of 12 watched in silence as Elena's message played. I'm not asking for ships. She said, I'm asking for unity. Let us strike together. Let us show this ancient darkness that it cannot rule us. The alien leaders looked at one another. They knew the truth. Only the humans could go. No one else could survive the fear long enough. But then something surprising happened. One by one, the council members stood. We will send support, said Chairman Vulek. Our best pilots, said Lady Scree. Our strongest engineers, said Dr. Keenov. For the first time in galactic history, every major species sent warriors, ships, and supplies to follow the humans into the void. The mission was called Operation Final Light. The goal: destroy the swarm mine core, hidden deep in a strange system surrounded by black stars and ancient energy clouds. The risks were high. Some said it was suicide, but others believed this was the galaxy's only chance. The fleet gathered near a dying star called Null is -7. It included 200 ships, human dreadnoughts, alien cruisers, scout vessels, and supply freighters. At the front was the Valiant, shining like a sword in the darkness. Commander Elena stood before her team. Today is not about Earth. It's not about anyone. Species. Today, We fight for all of us, together. Cheers echoed through the ship. Sergeant Briggs, now carrying new scars from earlier battles, led the ground strike force. Humans, Alari, Mechari, and Zarthan soldiers stood behind him. Some had never fought before, but all had trained hard. Briggs looked at them and said, I don't care where you were born. If you stand beside me today, you're family. The fleet jumped into the dark core system. Everything went quiet. No signals worked. No light moved. Then the swarm came. Thousands of ships, bigger than ever, all under control of the swarm mind. The enemy did not speak. It did not offer a deal. It only attacked. But the humans were ready. The battle began. In space, lasers and plasma tore through the blackness. Human and alien ships worked side by side. Formations held strong. Swarm ships crashed into their lines, but the fleet held them back. Inside the Valiant, Elena gave orders quickly. Pull the Mechari ships to the left. Protect the transports. Keep our focus on opening a path to the core. Dr. Thomas shouted. We found it. The core is inside a massive structure. Shielded. Send in the strike force, Elena said. On the surface of a dead rock orbiting the core, Sergeant Briggs landed with his team. The swarm mind's true form was below inside a deep cave of twisted black stone. The fear was stronger here. The air felt heavy, but the humans kept moving. So did their allies. Briggs saw young Private Lynn shake. But keep walking. You okay? He asked. Lynn nodded. Scared out of my mind, but I'm with you. Good answer, Briggs said. They moved deeper into the cave. Swarm creatures appeared, guardians of the mind. The team fought hard. One Zarthan soldier fell. A Mechari medic dragged him to safety. A human covered them both with fire. This wasn't just a team. It was a family. Finally, they reached the core chamber. It was huge, glowing with strange symbols and energy. In the middle floated a dark crystal, pulsing like a heartbeat. That's it, Briggs said. That's the swarm mind. Private Lynn planted a bomb near the base. It had to charge for 60 seconds before detonation. Suddenly, the fear spiked. The swarm mind spoke not in words, but in thoughts. You will fail. I am eternal. You are weak. Briggs laughed. You haven't met humans before, have you? The team held their ground. 30 seconds left. More swarm creatures came. Briggs took a hit but kept firing. 20 seconds. Private Lynn was hurt. Briggs dragged him behind cover. 10 seconds. Go. Briggs shouted. Fall back to the shuttle. But Sergeant, that's an order. The team ran. Briggs stayed behind, covering them. The bomb glowed bright from orbit. The Valiant watched the cave explode in a massive shockwave. The fear field dropped instantly. Across the galaxy, the swarm ships went still. Then, one by one, they fell. With the mind gone, they had no leader, no purpose. The war was over. Silence fell on the Valiant's bridge. Commander Elena closed her eyes. Sergeant Briggs didn't make it, but he had saved them all. She turned to the crew. Signal the galaxy. The swarm is finished. Cheers filled every ship, on every planet. People celebrated. The war that once seemed hopeless had ended because brave humans stood when no one else could. Weeks later, a memorial was held on Unity Station. Built by every species together, a statue of Sergeant Briggs stood tall. At the base, these words were written. He faced the darkness, and he did not shrink. Because of him, we stood together. Commander Elena stood beside Dr. Kinov and Lady Scree. What now? Kinov asked. Elena smiled. Now, we rebuild, together. And if darkness ever comes again, we'll be ready, Lady Scree said. We will tell our children of this, how the humans showed us what courage really means. Elena nodded, and how we found that same courage inside ourselves, in the quiet peace of space. The stars shined a little brighter, because now, everyone knew, when terror rises, humans do not shrink. They stand, and they lead.